Hi fam, and dear Kenyans, we are not safe. Not even the Kenyans who live outside the country, because when you don't have a country to call home, where will you run back to? Aden Khalif, the governor of Mandera County, just a few hours ago sounded a very concerning alarm.
We want to call upon His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, who is also the Commander-in-Chief of all the armed forces. Mandera cannot be turned into a battleground for Somalia. We have no interest in Somalia. The only interest we have in Somalia is peace. If they cannot peace and fight, then we have no business to involve in their internal affairs. They have opened a camp in BP1. BP1 primary school is now closed. And there are people who want to do exam in the next 1 month. How do you close a public school and turn it into a military training camp? It is impossible. So tunawaeleza immediate relocation.
Honestly, let's be honest, this is not something new because Gachagua about a month ago he had already mentioned about it. So we cannot ignore Gachagua at this point.
Even as we speak today, half of Mandela is occupied by forces from Jubaland, and I would have expected these leaders over the weekend, the governor, the senator, the MPs, who are making a lot of noise about Rigiji, to have defended the people of Mandera from the incursions by forces from Jubaland, instead of castigating Rigathi Gachagua.
DFM, I think we are biting more than we can chew. And by biting more than we can chew, I mean WSR. That is Ruto, our president. He's biting more than he can chew. We can play around with SHA. We can play around with all the taxpayers' money because we can work hard and get more money and all that. But when we burn our country, we cannot get another place to call home. That is something that Ruto doesn't understand. These guys have already accumulated enough money for them to get another home whenever they feel like, whatever. They've bought villas and all that across the entire globe. But what about the common mwananchi like us? We don't have any other place to call home. So now, you remember just recently, we were facilitating and supplying weapons to RSF in southern Sudan. And the issue became an issue until we've forgotten about it. We even gave them a platform to form a parallel government in our country. Now, it's the Jubaland forces or whatever they are called. We have evacuated kids who are supposed to do exam in 1 month's time, and we've given that land and that space for the Jubaland forces to train so that they can go and attack the militias in Somali, or whatever the things they are going to do there. We have no interest in Somali. We don't even care what they are going to do there. That's not our concern. Our concern is national security, that nobody is talking about, that even the cabinet secretary for national security is not saying anything about it. But you know why? Because she was handpicked. Do you know who is the cabinet for national security? Cabinet secretary? That is Soipan Tuya. Who is Soipan Tuya? Allegedly, Ruto alikuwa anampanda miti. Allegedly. You know, the previous experience that she had, she was the cabinet secretary for forestry, environment, and things like that. So walikuwa anapanda miti na Ruto. Si ati Ruto alikuwa anampanda miti. But there's something like that was happening. She was handpicked by Ruto to become the cabinet secretary for national defense. Without prior experience with military stuff and all that. That's the person who's supposed to advise Ruto on matters national security and military tact and all those things. So allegedly Kahariri has no place. So the person doing all the advisory and everything is Ruto himself. Because when you have your own girlfriend, allegedly girlfriend, to be your own advisor on matters national security, then that means you advise yourself, because you cannot listen to her. Like, what do you talk about in the cabinet meetings? Probably about kupanda miti. I digress, but we gave the people in Mandera national IDs without vetting. That is point I want you to understand. That is very risky. And now you see what the things that are happening. Do you remember that 5 chiefs were abducted in Mandera? They disappeared, and then they appeared after 60 days of abduction by the militia groups. Why are we playing so much with our land? Why are we, so how are we in control of the Jubaland forces training in our country and then they go attack the Al-Shabaabs? The retaliation will be on our land. You get the point? So this is where we are losing our country, because we literally have no control of whatever that is happening, and nobody is talking about it. The cabinet secretary for national defense has not spoken about it. The military is even assisting this group called the Jubaland whatever. Our military. This is, someone made a joke, actually it was Okiya Mtata, that our military will be privatized. More. Kenyans, do you know how much risk we have exposed ourselves into? We have exposed ourselves, not with the Sudanese RSF, not with the Al-Shabaabs and the Jubaland people in Somalia. I mean, why are we poking people's noses while we have so much going on in our own country? The same Mandera County ndio imejaa scam za SHA, headed by Aden Duale, because if you trace everything, the links will go back to their tables. That's why there's nobody who's being arrested. Yes, we can play around with the public money because Kenyans work really hard and we can work hard again and get more money. But can we get another country when it's burned into ashes? Why are we joking with things that we cannot even handle by ourselves? I mean, you see, are you seeing the dangers that we are exposing ourselves into? Or am I just paranoid or just over too concerned?